Okay, aloha kako. Welcome to our workshop, how to give, collect, and grade assignments. First off, as we've been trying to do in all of our sessions today, is to make sure that you know where you can find resources and assistance by going to the VCAA's website and then coming to the Hilo Distance Essentials for Remote Teaching and Learning. On this website, you'll be able to get the guides. I'm using one here today, which is on this website. And you'll be able to find the guides, all of the information. We'll also be putting up some videos for you to be able to go back and refresh your memory on some of the things we're going to be doing today. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Laulima. Okay, I'm going to use my course here. Feel free to be in your course that you want to use for today's lesson. If you haven't already added the assignments tool to your course, I'll show you very quickly how to do that. We're going to go down to Site Info. And it's a little bit slow. You're going to go right here to Manage Tools. Manage Tools allows you to go in and add additional tools to the default set that comes with every new course. The default set being announcements, discussion and private messages, and so on. You'll want to go ahead and just add any new ones that you feel that you need. The ones that we suggest are assignments. And you can go ahead and check mark that one to put it in your course menu. You can also, as you scroll down, you can see there are many others. Gradebook definitely would be a good idea. Syllabus, and then finally tests and quizzes. That will be our next workshop right after this one. Once you've added the tools, you can click on the Continue. And you will then see the new tool in the left-hand side. If you're just adding it, it will be at the bottom. And there are ways to move those, and that was covered in an earlier workshop with setting up your Laulima site. But again, that video recording will be available for you as well as the tutorial guide. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on Assignments. We're going to go ahead and get into the tool. First thing that you're going to see is if you've just added assignments, it's going to be empty. I have actually a couple of assignments in here that I have created the past couple of days. So you can see from the assignment list that you get a lot of information. You're going to get the name of the assignment, who it's available to, whether it's to the entire site or whether it's to a group only. You'll see that the open date and due dates are there. And then finally, over here to the right, you're going to be able to see if students have submitted assignments yet, and whether there have been any new ones since the last time that you checked. Okay, so in order to give an assignment, we're going to click on the Add button, which is right up here on this bar of buttons. So I'm going to click Add. The first thing that we want to do is give our assignment a title. So in this case, I'm going to name it Assignment. And actually, I can just click on this one and then change it to 3. Kind of save myself a few little keystrokes there. Okay, as far as the assignment instructions, this is where you would want to put as much information as possible, what your expectations are, and just kind of give as much detail because you essentially get what you ask for. So try to put as much information to help both you and the students get the results that you're wanting. Okay, so we're going to put in here, these are the instructions. I'm just going to put a little bit of something in there. Okay. Okay, so as we scroll down, first thing that you're going to see right here is an honor pledge. You can click on that check mark, and what that is it's essentially like an electronic signature, which means that if the student decides to go forth and complete the assignment, it's essentially saying, yes, I accept the honor pledge. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to complete the assignment. Also, you can add an attachment. That could be like a rubric. If your assignment had a rubric, you could then click on Attachments. And what it'll do is it will pull up a new window here, and you have two options. The first option is that you can browse and you can navigate through your hard drive and find one and upload it. Or if you've already uploaded the file to your resources folder, you can then just scroll down and you'll see here's a representation of your resources. I currently have a few folders here, two of which are populated. And the way that you can tell they're populated is the folder is dark versus the one that's not, grayed out versus colored in there. Now, I want to go ahead and go into week 16 to get my attachment. So I just click on week 16, and then you see here's an item I want to attach, and I'm going to attach a copy. Now, I could also sit there and attach more than one copy, but since this is the only one that I want to do right here, I can then click on Continue. Okay, so as I'm scrolling back down, here's my attachment. If I wanted to remove it, I would just do the same thing. I would click on Add Remove, and then I could click over here and remove that item. But I'm not going to do that, so I'll cancel. Okay, the next section that we're going to get into is the availability section. So again, as I scroll back down, Laulima has this, you know, you're going to be used to, if you haven't already gotten used to it, the little idiosyncrasies that it has. And one of them is a lot of times when you do things in Laulima, it pops you back up to the top, and then you have to scroll back down. So here we are. Okay, so we're going to be in the availability section. So the first thing that we want to do is set an open date. And you can either click in the field or you can choose to click on the little calendar icon. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. So you want to, of course, be sure that you're in the right month and the right year. And why do I say that? Well, because you may want to try and put forth a few assignments for the future. So you want to make sure that you're in the correct month. So we have our date here. I can go ahead and open it right now. And then we see that there's a time. These are slider bars. So you'll see that the hour is one bar, the minutes are the lower bar. This lower minutes bar goes to 55. Back down to 00. So I'm going to just choose to open it at 8 a.m. and click Done. Okay, the next item would be your due date. Again, it's very similar. You just click on the date that you want to close it. And you notice that Laulima automatically says, well, probably you want to do it a week later. So it automatically kind of triggers that. But if that's not what you want, you just choose the other date in the little square there. And again, you can choose to go 11:55 p.m. maybe. It's up to you. But you're using these sliders hour and minute. So I'm going to click Done. The last item here is the Accept Until. And Accept Until is very useful as a grace period. So you can set that and say, okay, my due date is March 27. However, I'm going to put a little bit of a grace period in there of maybe a few days later. So that just kind of keeps it open. The students don't really know that it's open, but they do still have the capability of submitting their assignment after the due date. Now what that will do for you though is that when you look at the submissions from the students, you will get a red late next to their submission so that you know that they went over that time period. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Accept Until. Now if you decide not to do an Accept Until, you just leave it as the same date as the due date. So it's really kind of like personal preference and philosophy as to whether you're going to do the Accept Until. But I'll do mine like say the 29th at, again, 11:55 p.m. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you do create assignments, tests, whatever, the best policy, best practice is to use consistent dates, times. If you're going to request assignments or discussions, it's best to select a particular day and time so that the students have that consistency of knowing every Wednesday I have to do this, every Friday the test is due, things like that. So As long as you just choose one thing and be consistent, that'll be a good practice. Okay, I'm going to skip over some of these others. And we can always meet together. We can set up one-on-one meetings, whatever, to help you with these additional items if you feel that there's something that you need. But I'm trying to kind of stick with just the basics to get you up quickly. Okay, the next item is going to be student submissions. Now, in this case, automatically it comes up inline and attachments. But you have the ability to say inline only. Well, what does inline only mean? That means that when the student goes in to do their assignment, they will have a rich text editor box, just like this one, very similar here. And they will type in their assignment. And that may be good for some of your assignments. You might want to just have them type in information. But you may want to limit it to only attachments or both. It's really going to be up to you and the purpose of the assignment and what you're wanting to get back. So if I go back down to the submission type and drop down the list again, you're going to see I could change it to inline only, attachments only, and then these others, depending on your needs. I'm going to do attachments only. Now, on the allow resubmissions, that one is very useful for being able to allow the students to submit, and then maybe they decided, oh, I need to make some changes, I want to resubmit. You can give them a number of resubmissions that you're wanting to allow, and then you have your resubmission accept until. And usually that is the same date as your accept until date, because you kind of want to choose a day when you know that everything's going to be over and that you just want to go ahead and finish up on this assignment and your grading. Okay, as we scroll down, we're now getting into the sections that talk about sending out emails, informing students whether their grade has been released and resubmission is available. So these, again, these are personal preferences for you here. This next item, submission notification email, this is really important. If you want to be getting emails to let you know that submissions have been put in the class, just to let you know, oh, here are some, I need to go in and check them out, make sure they're okay, give them a grade, you can have Lalima send you an email. However, what's going to happen if you choose the send a notification for each, you're going to get a lot of emails in your inbox. And we don't all like that, do we? We just kind of want to get one with a whole bunch in it. So that's where this one comes in. Send email, one email per day. So you'll get one email summarizing all of your submissions. Okay, the next one is grading. So if we drop down again, you can see that you have some options here: letter grade, points, pass, fail, and check mark. However, I do want to caution you that if you're going to use the gradebook, which I strongly encourage you to do so, it only accepts points. So if you're going to send this grade to the gradebook, it will have to be in points. But in the gradebook workshop today, we'll be talking about your options on that. You don't have to send it to the gradebook. It's recommended, but there's another way to do it. So we'll talk about that today. So I'm going to put in 100 for my point value. And this is right here where I was talking about if you want to add this assignment to the gradebook, you can. And you'll notice that I actually have some categories in my gradebook, and we'll again talk about that during the gradebook session later today. But if I did have categories, it allows me to choose what the category is. And in this case, I have an assignments category, so I can go ahead and select assignments. I can keep it nice, neat, and organized so that you guys can all know where to find things. Okay, the next item here, again, this is just kind of getting into notifications, and this again is personal preference. You can either send a notification to the student when the grade is released or not. And then finally, if there's additional assignment options that you want to get into. But usually I say at this point, it's just good just to keep the defaults that are set here. So we're going to go ahead and click post, But you also notice that if you did want to go ahead and just start getting some ideas down, but you're not ready to post it out and put it on the list, you can hit Save Draft. Then you can always come back and edit. Okay, I'm going to click Post. And again, all the things that I'm going through today is contained within this guide, and just going step by step through it. Lots of explanations on what each of those selections mean, just as a reiteration or reminder. Okay. Okay, so the next portion that I'm going to go into is what does it look like to collect an assignment from a student. So I'm going to navigate to a fake class that I have here, and I'm going to go into Assignments. And you'll see that I have a list of titles here. And we'll go in here and look at the sample assignment. But again, this is very similar to the list that you saw earlier. This is just a little bit more populated. We see that we have a grade link here under its name, but remember I said over here in this in/new column, you do have some numbers. 1 means that you have a submission, a new submission, and 0 means you don't have any new ones since you last looked. This one means that we have both, 2 that are new and they're new to you. Either way, you can click here grade or click here in/new to get to the listing for this assignment of who has submitted and who has not submitted. So we can see here that we have one student who has no submission yet. We have one here that has returned and has a 0. You probably most likely gave them a resubmission, so you're just kind of waiting to find out what they're going to do. And then this student, you see, they submitted theirs on this day at this time. And yeah, I know this is old dates, but you have the submission dates and times, what the grade was that you gave them, and whether you released it to the student. But let's take a look and see what was this submission. So I can click on this student's name to find their submission. And as I scroll down, again, I'm going to be able to get that information about when did they submit it, what time did they submit it, and whether it was returned, what is its status. So as I scroll down, this is what they actually submitted. So you can see that I did inline. I allowed them to have a text editor. They typed in, as required, I am typing in my student submission in the inline submission area. So that's what I wanted them to do. As I scroll down, I then see I gave them 100 points because they followed the instructions. And then in my summary, I told them, you did a very good job. And if I'd wanted to, I could have returned this with an attachment. Could been a rubric where you filled out information. How did you come to the 100 grade? It could be anything that you would want to send back to them. And then if you wanted to allow a resubmission for this one, you can come in and do so here. Now, one really good thing to know as far as assignment navigation that will be very helpful in the future is you do have these buttons here that are available. Save and don't return to student. You might want to save this grade and comment, but you're not ready to release it to all the students yet. You can save and release to the students. Maybe you're at the end of your grading and you're just going to go ahead and let them go out en masse. So either one of these helps you do one of those, whichever you're wanting to do. And then finally, down here, as far as navigation goes, you also then have the ability to return back to the main list, or you can go back to the previous ungraded or next ungraded. You don't have to go back to the list and keep choosing student names. You can sit here and just kind of cycle through each submission. That pretty much covers all of the items that we had for this workshop today. Again, if you do need one-on-one assistance, we are going to be setting up some Zoom rooms in the near future. We're hoping to set them up as subject matter rooms. So for instance, if you wanted specific help about assignments, you could come to that Zoom room and we'll talk about assignments, get you set up. If you want to discuss how to do your screencasting to record your lectures, we'll have a room for that, specific room. We can also set up just specific meetings with one person, but the Zoom rooms are intended as a sharing area. So we'll have people coming in that are all wanting to know the same thing and hearing the same thing from the answer. If they have the same question, that would be great. Everybody can benefit. Okay, again, just want to show you that we do have our website. Please continue to go to this area for updates. We'll be adding some video recordings and information. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come in today, and please let us know, let the team know if we can be of service. Mahalo.